Ah, I bid you welcome. I shall be your game master for this tale. It is a pleasure to have you. Now then, just like this, I will be using cards to draw you into the world of this story. From time to time, you may be presented with choices like this. That's correct. It doesn't mean anything, but still, good job. You're following along with all this, I trust? Moving on, I believe your experience of the story will be shaped in no small part by my narration. As such, I hope you'll have rather more fun keeping the sound on while you play. That said, rest assured that the game remains enjoyable without sound. My words will be subtitled just as they are now. With the formalities sorted, we're all ready to begin the game. My. Yeah, you can hear the sound of the waves. Oh, how very evocative. Now then, let's begin our tale. Allow me to welcome you to the world of Voice of Cards. You're about to step into the shoes of the hero of this tale, as said adventure takes place in a remote part of the sea, in which ancient traditions are alive and well. You will touch the hearts of many who dwell in this place, as you journey to change fate's promise of untold ruin. I believe in you. I believe your journey will be a success. And on that note, it is time for that journey to begin. May the waves see you safely. Our story begins in a secluded grotto. The sound of the waves echoes softly across the rock walls. A solitary young man stands in front of a ship floating in the water. Brush in hand, he busies himself painting the vessel. Once he finishes his work, he decides to carve his name into the side of the hull. A finishing touch. You've made a mistake with your own name, of all things. Calm down and give it another try. You carve your name in small lettering into the ship. Oh, a handsome name, that. This young lad is the hero of our tale, and your window into the world. You're a navigator without a ship, and your soul yearns to set out upon the ocean blue, for your own reasons. You have spent a great deal of time repairing the wrecked ship before you, in the hopes of crafting a partner, aboard which you might sail the high seas. The sound of a wooden box tumbling to the ground rips through the grotto. You heave a deep sigh and decide to head over to the source of the racket. The source of the noise turns out to be a young girl. It looks as though she has knocked over a wooden box, packed with shipbuilding supplies, and is in quite a panic about it. The girl's name is Laddie. You came across her some time ago, collapsed on a beach. You attempted to bring her to a nearby village, but she was quite opposed to the idea for some reason. As such, you're not quite sure how to respond to her knocking the box over. It's okay, you say in a gentle, reassuring tone. Laddie's worried expression melts away, replaced by one of relief. You move to leave the grotto, saying, "I'm going to the village to get some food." Laddie waves goodbye, her forlorn smile seeing you off. The young woman has lost her ability to speak. Neither of you have any knowledge of how she ended up in her situation, and you spend many quiet hours together in the grotto. The scent of the sea and a sense of isolation hang heavy in the air. The island is bound for ruin and has had its name since before any can really recall. This is Omega Isle. You take a deep breath and then set out for the nearby Omega Village, which shares the island's name. An old spire stands tall before you. Alas, there's little reason to go poking around within. You have arrived near the entrance of the village. You spy a shadow skulking. The shadows fall away to reveal a small monster. It's unusual to see one this close to the village. It might be cute, but it's still a monster and a threat. You must slay the beast before it can cause trouble or worse in the village. Fight him off. Gorgeous flower beds burst with blossoms that will one day wilt and wither away, much like Omega Village itself. This is a village that has accepted its fate to be but a moment in time, destined to fade. An island in want of a maiden shall fall, he mutters, to no one in particular. This might be the last time I see this flower bed, the boy says, gazing forlornly at the flowers. I wish I got to be the maiden, the girl says mournfully, dressed head to toe in maiden garb, and clearly pretending to be such. A lone woman diligently cleans the grounds of the maiden shrine. You stop in at the mayor's house and discover that he already has a guest. The two are engaged in discussion. You listen in and learn that they are troubled by monsters that have appeared near the village and have been devouring precious stores of food. The villager sighs deeply. I suppose it's about the end for the village, they say flatly before departing the mayor's home. The man left standing in the room has a certain sagacity about him. He notices you waiting and inclines his head in greeting. His name is Grieth. As the village's mayor, he spends his days dealing with all manner of happenings around town. He looks to be at a loss over the damage being caused by the monsters. It would likely be a simple matter for you to deal with the beasts. You offer to deal with the monsters, and Grieth replies with his thanks. You're always a big help. This is part of your daily routine. You work to sort out the village's troubles in order to procure food to eat. How may I help you? The proprietor inquires. Will that be all? The proprietor asks. How may I help you? The proprietor inquires. Will that be all? The proprietor asks. a monster has appeared before you. It holds what's left of a piece of fruit in its teeth, and its mouth moves restlessly. With a sigh, you mutter, "Let's get this over with then," and ready your weapon. And fight! With practiced skill, you swing your weapon. The blade flashes through the monster's throat. Merciless. Perfect aim. It would appear that you are quite accustomed to killing. You wipe the blood off your weapon. As you do, you notice a shadow in the distance. Another monster, perhaps? You take the weapon on your back and aim it carefully before hurling it at the shadow with great force. It flies toward your target, tracing a perfect parabola. However, the tip of the spear strikes just slightly to the side of the shadow, which runs off. Whatever the shadow was, it was taken aback by your unexpected assault. It looks like it ran off in the direction of the spire near the village. You stand before the Spirit Spire, said to have been erected to protect the island. Yet with the villagers having accepted ruination, it now stands forlorn, an edifice without. This place, so named for the spirits themselves, is one that the villagers do not enter. Despite this, you say to yourself, "I have to get rid of the monster," and decide to profane the place with your presence. There are some words etched into the door, but they are weathered and difficult to read. Worried though you are about whatever the words might say, you nonetheless try pushing the handle. With some protest, the door groans open. You spy the shadow of the monster you encountered earlier. Your insight that it had taken refuge in the spire has proven a good one. The shadow notices your presence and flies off at blinding speed. You can't help but admire the rapid escape, though it looks like you're back to chasing after a shadow. You survey your surroundings, relying on the shafts of sunlight filtering in through the windows. However, you're unable to see the monster from where you are. In the back of the large hall, there is an altar, which evinces a sense of deep mystery. The altar is wrought of a strange kind of stone, its surface polished smooth. It looks as though you approach the altar to check that there are no places for monsters to hide themselves away inside it. In reply to the mysterious and unidentifiable voice that suddenly rent the silence, you ask in a sharp tone, "Who's there?" You strain your ears, trying to make out the broken snippets of words echoing off the chamber walls. After speaking a word that rings familiar to your ears, Laddie, the voice becomes impossible to hear. It cannot be. Could you truly have heard the voice of the spirit from the maiden's myth passed down on the island? All signs of the monster you were in pursuit of seem to have vanished. For the time being, you decide to return to the village and report your success. When you arrive at the mayor's house, there is a young visitor already there. She looks to be making an impassioned request of Greeth. In a wearied voice, Greeth replies, "There is no longer any maiden in our village." Admonished, the girl leaves the house with disappointment written across her expression. You inform the mayor that you've taken care of the monsters around town. As thanks for completing the job, the mayor hands you a basket of fruit. Oh, good, you think to yourself. Another day, another basket of fruit. You re-enter the grotto and announce your return. On a normal day, Laddie would already have zipped over to greet you. But today, nothing. You walk over to Laddie and discover that she is sound asleep. Life in the grotto is not one of creature comforts. Rather, a fair few inconveniences. You've tried several times to bring Laddie to the village, but she was adamantly opposed on every occasion. You sometimes catch glimpses of her face while she sleeps. Always it is contorted in anguish, as though she is in the throes of a terrible nightmare. You notice a bulky book lying open next to Laddie, filled with carefully drawn words and images. It seems to be some kind of picture book that Laddie made herself. You know, I confess, I am unable to overcome your curiosity. You decide to take a look at the picture book. Beside evocative images of deep forests and towering mountain ranges, Laddie has written a story patterned after the maiden's myth. The picture book story is set in a small village replete with nature. The village enjoys the promise of peace and tranquility, thanks to the young woman born to be the maiden. The maiden goes before the altar to perform a ritual, which invokes the power of a great spirit to protect the village. You look over the artwork, a spitting recreation of the altar you saw in the spire, and think back. The voice claimed it was a spirit, and you're certain it spoke Laddie's name. You are so caught up in the thoughts racing through your head that you fail to notice Laddie had awakened. Laddie seems embarrassed that you've seen her book. Tears prick the corners of her eyes. If Laddie were indeed the maiden, it would be no exaggeration to call her the very light of hope, a protective force that could save the island from its encroaching ruin. With faint expectation tightening your chest, you consider taking her to the altar in the spire. The ship you've constructed gently bobs in the waves. You run your hand along its hull in admiration, and then return to the litany of tasks still to be done. You've given Laddie some of the fruit you brought back. She dreamily stuffs some of it into her mouth. Maybe your stomach rumbles as you watch her, and together, the two of you enjoy a light meal. You take Laddie with you and return to the spire. As you approach the entrance of the spire, the staff that Laddie clutches close begins to emit a faint light. Seeing the mysterious light, you are convinced Laddie has a deep connection to the spire. Her expression uneasy. Laddie takes hold of your sleeve with a tentative touch. You stand before the altar once more, bathed in an air of mysticism. The light emitting from Laddie's staff intensifies, as if indicating its destination. In response to the enigmatic voice, Laddie's staff exudes a dazzling light. A spirit appears right before your eyes. Well, maybe it's a spirit? It's some kind of strange stuffed animal. The stuffed toy seems to be affecting a voice of considerable gravitas and choking itself in the process. This creature is called Lack. Though you cannot be certain it speaks the truth, it claims to be a spirit. You approach, hoping to ask about the maiden, but with blinding speed, Lack zooms behind Laddie, putting her between you as a shield. You're the one from before, Lack says, quaking. It would appear that you're mistaking the creature for a monster and doggedly chasing after it has made it rather afraid of you. You hold out an offer of reconciliation, and Lack takes it and immediately starts munching away. You're not really sure if the make good worked out, but in any event, Lack looks willing to listen to you now. You ask about the maiden once more, and Lack begins to talk a lot. It seems to, just as the maiden's myth handed down amongst the denizens of the island suggests, it explains, Laddie was indeed born to be the maiden here. However, she was unable to take up her role. This has caused no small amount of distress over the island's inevitable destiny to sink beneath the raging waves. Lack concludes with a proposal. How's about you go and meet with the other maidens and fetch the maiden's relics? As you had hoped, Laddie appears to be the key to the island's salvation. You ask, should we kill the maidens and steal the relics? Laddie shakes her head rapidly, as if to insist that you definitely should not do that. As Lack explains, each maiden has an attendant, an escort, and protector. This would make it difficult to take the relics by brute force. This island is not the only one home to a spirit. There are islands throughout this archipelago, and upon each dwells one of the 4 maidens who govern their own spirit. The self-proclaimed spirit explains that if you bring the maiden's relics that each of these maidens possess back to this spire, Laddie will be able to become a maiden herself. Laddie shows the staff in her hand, wearing an expression that seems to say, "This is a maiden's relic." If Laddie becomes a maiden and performs the maiden's ritual at the altar, the island can be saved. The world-changing immensity of what you have just learned echoes in your mind. It takes you a little while to fully digest it. But it does just so happen you've been readying a seaworthy vessel for your own purposes. You accept Lack's proposal to help Laddie become a maiden. So, you want me to poof you back to the entrance? You decide to make for the spire's exit. Accompanied by your new allies, you make to enter the village. But Laddie seems to find something about this idea disagreeable and clings to a tree nearby, refusing. "Oh, I got this one," says Lack, evidently with some kind of plan in mind. The fluffy creature begins to chant a sort of mysterious spell. Suddenly, Laddie's face is transformed into that of an odd old man's. Laddie touches her transformed visage and then gives a thumbs up, perhaps as if to say, "Good job." You are a god. But Laddie looks sideways at you as she walks into the village, her identity now safely hidden. This is your home. A desk pushed up near the wall is adorned with an unfurled map and a scattering of books. The navigation map is of your own design and depicts the various islands in this region of the sea. It contains information on the maidens of those nearby islands, culled meticulously from books, and the tale. Before all of this, you had found yourself unable to merely sit and watch the village's decline, and so planned a voyage to seek aid from the maid. After popping into the back room, you emerge with a carefully polished ship's wheel and present it to your companions. It is the final piece of the ship you restored at the grotto. With it, you will finally be able to set sail on the voyage you have dreamed of for so long. You have made ready for the voyage, but before you set sail, you decide to stop in at the mayor's to say your farewells. Greeth's eyes fall over the unfamiliar face behind you. And who do we have here? You tell Greeth that you have no idea. He reaches over and places his hand on your forehead, checking for a fever. Changing the subject, you explain to the mayor that you'll be leaving the village for a little while on a voyage to save the island. You felt sure that the mayor, with his love of the village, would see you off with a smile. And yet the moment you explain that you found a maiden who can save the island, his attitude changes like the fickle sea winds, and he voices opposition to your journey. This island is destined to meet its end, he says. You can practically sense him digging his feet in. You cannot fathom why he, the mayor of the village, would believe something like that. Though each of you hold the island in your hearts, you cannot reconcile the difference of opinion. Like love, you believe that your desire to save the island will prove to be the right perspective. Don't hold back. Beyond the pier, the ocean sprawls out in all directions, beckoning you to adventure. You come across an open-air stall. A sign reads, "Goods bought here." As you peer into the stall, its proprietress calls out to you. "But this determines the price," she continues, revealing the die in her hand. It seems she's finished buying for the day. The proprietress begins closing up shop, and you go on your way. Your ship. Your trusted companion. Once a mere wrecked husk that you labored to bring back to life with months of sweat and toil. You climb up to the stern, and with every bit of care you can muster, you attach the wheel. The final stroke upon the canvas. At last, your ship is finished. The vessel's design is patterned after a great whale. There are a number of mismatched parts, but that particular quirk only makes you love it all the more. As you look over your handiwork, you realize that your companion on this upcoming journey will need a name. What would a fitting name be, you ponder? Laddie tears a page from her book and then scribbles a name down on it. In her small handwriting is written, The Bon Vent. According to Lack, the words are a kind of prayer in the language of the spirits for safe passage when bidding one farewell on a long journey. A farewell said before long journeys. The words could make a... You're unsure of just how much you ought to trust Lack or his skill with words. But nonetheless, decide to together. You load up the Bon Vent with the necessary provisions. Preparations for your departure are now finished. You throw your hands upon the ship's wheel and shout, "Weigh anchor!" with gusto. Your voyage has begun. Though your ship had long since forgotten the taste of seawater, it nonetheless cuts through the waves like a fillet knife through fresh fish. It is your first sea voyage. Laddie's eyes glitter as she looks out at the horizon, stretching ever onward over the endless blue expanse. She opens up your homemade navigation map, checking the locations of the islands where the other maidens live. On the island to the south of here lives a beauteous maiden garbed in azure robes, as though the sky itself is wrapped around her. After closing up the map, you grasp the wheel like a familiar old friend and tell that you now have free rein to sail across the sea. New tales await you when you put into port on an island where a maiden dwells. Whirlpools are a common occurrence in this area of the sea. It doesn't seem like your ship is capable of crossing them. Oh, yeah, you can't cross whirlpools. Don't hold back. I don't know what it is, but there's just something so relaxing. Don't hold back. Hope you win. Ahoy, matey. It's like you can feel... A large chest floats in the water before you, no more than an arm's length away. You take hold of the chest and pull the board. When you do, empty bottles, broken ornaments, and other useless odds and ends roll out. Your shoulder, just as you begin to sniffle, Laddie picks up something from the heap of junk and shows it to you with an elated smile. Laddie eagerly eyes the fishing rod on the boat. Up for some fishing, you ask? Laddie gives a hesitant nod, except it turns out she's never fished before. You show her how to hold the rod, and she casts the line into the water. Almost instantly, the rod begins to bend. You'd better tell her when to pull up. The rod bends sharply. Whatever she has, it's resisting with all its might. Laddie panics and yanks the rod toward her. The line snaps and goes slack. Alas, you pat her back reassuringly. Sometimes that's just how it goes. Ah, the great open sea! Huzzah! What an You catch Laddie stealing glances at the fishing rod on the boat. Perhaps she'd like another shot at, with your guidance. She clumsily, haltingly readies the rod and casts the line into the water. Minutes pass. Suddenly, the rod jerks toward the water. Laddie, panic in her eyes, looks to you for help. The end of the rod whips toward the water. This is it. She looks up at you, her eyes welling up with tears. We can always buy another rod, you reassure her, placing a hand on her shoulder. You spot something blown into the sky from a whale's spout. It looks like it might fall this way, but it's hard to make out with the sun behind it. You open your arms wide, and what should fall into them but a monster. It bares its fangs, ready to take a bite out of you. You have a battle on your hands. And fight. Next time, it would be good to get a better look before acting, you think to yourself. The rod bends and fits and starts. You're sure she's got something. She gathers herself for a moment and pulls with all her might. Laddie, overcome with joy at her first catch, throws her arms around Lack and squeals with glee. You look at the fish, beaming with pride. You know what Laddie will be having for supper this evening. And fight. You open your arms wide to catch some sort of item. You gladly accept it as a gift from heaven. And fight. Excellent. A glimmer catches your eye. You take a closer look at the glinting objects. Though corroded by seawater, they're undoubtedly coins. You hurriedly draw your sword and strike the falling object. It turns out, it was a fish, but now it's two. Both halves hit the water and disappear below the waves. You cross the sea and arrive at the South Isle. On the South Isle, you will hear the tale of a maiden in blue. The decision is in your hands. Fight him off. You discover a shipwreck. You climb aboard and begin searching for anything useful. Lack trembles and whispers. This place feels haunted. We'll be fine. You flash Lack a reassuring smile and press on through the shipwreck, but then Laddie grabs your hand and you stop. She's clearly worried about the frightened Lack. Okay, hold up. And fight. Magnificent. You approach the remains of a ship floating in the waves and carefully steer your own vessel so as not to collide as you do. Laddie pulls something up out of the water. It's completely soaked, but appears to be some kind of voyage log. Most of the ink is smeared by seawater, but one page is still legible. On that same page, you see a map detailing where the shipwreck can be found. Deciding that shipwrecked treasure may be worth finding, you slip the voyage log into your bag. And fight. Fortune favors the bold. Magnificent. I don't know what it is, but there... Hope you win. Magnificent. Hope you win. Ahoy, matey. You discover a shipwreck. You climb aboard and begin searching for anything useful. Now that I think about it, you say, pulling the voyage log out of your bag and look, it's just as you expected. This is the shipwreck you read about in the voyage log. As you recall the log mentioning the treasure hold becoming a den of monsters, and turn to your comrades, urging them to be prepared for what may lie ahead. Receiving a steady nod from your allies, you quietly unsheath your sword and open the door. Show them what you got. The treasure hold is a mess, but you spot a single unscathed chest among the wreckage. You decide to take its contents as a reward for your collective bravery. When you return to your vessel, the shipwreck sinks silently into the sea. magnificent. Ah, the great. You open your arms wide, and into them falls a fish. It's a fat, tasty-looking fish. Your companion's stomachs growl at the sight of it. Recalling it's about time to eat, you deftly prepare it and share a friendly meal. Good work. You discover a shipwreck. You climb aboard and begin searching for anything useful. When you return to your vessel, the shipwreck sinks silently into the sea. You hurriedly draw your sword and strike the falling object. It turns out it was a monster. The blow you struck has it disoriented. It immediately dives back into the sea and swims away, leaving behind a scattering of thorns. Oh, yeah, you... Don't hold back. Magnificent. Magnificent. You discover a shipwreck. You climb aboard and begin searching for anything useful. When you return to your vessel, the shipwreck sinks silently into the sea. Very well then. Prepare to go ashore. bright rays of sunlight beam down onto the warm South Isle. Something about the place reminds you of the refreshing cool of the ocean. After weighing anchor and docking your ship at the pier, utterly exhausted from hours at the helm, you stretch your legs for a moment, then open up your... Once you have your heading, you and the others make for the village of Coveton in the south. Okay, now let's go. So hot, you grumble, as you use your shirt to fan yourself. Wondering how Laddie is holding up, you turn and see her squeezing a blue ball of fluff tightly. She begins to rub her cheek against it. From the elated look in her eyes, you can only guess how cooling it must feel. But the sight sends shivers down your spine. Laddie, that's a monster, you shout, readying your weapon. And fight. The village floats in the center of a cove. The gentle lapping of waves fills the air. As you enter the village, you're greeted by an unusual sight. A paper doll flitters about like a bird above a man's hand. The man sees your curious gazes and explains that he animates it with a magic charm. He claims that all the villagers use such spells to enrich their lives. At your straightforward question, the man appears to be at a loss for words. Now, though the maiden isn't here now, you know for certain that one lives in the village. You thank the man, then resume your search for the maiden. The village gets so lively when the maiden is here, the man mutters, his brow furrowed with worry. The old woman stares intently into a crystal ball. "Not ready to show me, are you?" she mumbles at it. She tells you she first used magic when she divined who she would marry, nigh on 50 years ago. You can't help but admire her dedication to the craft. The woman sighs. That maiden's gone gallivanting again today. Despite being tasked with protecting the village, it seems she has quite the infamous reputation. The man tells you the village may be renowned for its magic charms, but the tasty fish caught here aren't half bad either. Face contorted in concentration, the young boy deftly folds a piece of paper into the shape of a bird. You ask him about the maiden. "I saw her at the Maiden Shrine," he says. Wonder of wonders, the paper bird flaps its wings and flies about, showing you where the Maiden Shrine is. At the heart of the shrine, you see a young woman and man discussing something in earnest. The woman's name is Fila. She is, without a doubt, the maiden shouldering the Isle's fate. The man's name is Hyde. He is the maiden's wise attendant. Excuse me. I need to speak with the maiden, you say. Fila whirls to you and asks, which do you think is cuter? Though you're baffled by the sudden and unrelated question, she doesn't miss a beat and shows you a seashell in each of her hands. Caught in the moment, you mumble an unexpected answer beneath your breath. You quickly realize your mistake and look around when... Oh my, Fila remarks bashfully. Hyde. Laddie looks off into the distance, her lips pursed as if whistling, though no sound comes out. Lack, annoyed for some reason, seems on the verge of rebuking you. Apparently, the maiden and her attendant had wagered on which shell was cuter. You had heard about the Azure Maiden from the villagers, but now you see for yourself that she's quite the free-spirited woman. You explain to them why you've come and ask if Fila will lend you. Despite knowing the circumstances, Hyde tells you that things just aren't that simple. You take a deep breath and prepare to persuade them when I'll let you borrow it if you help me find the pirate's treasure, Fila says. She explains that there are rumors of pirate treasure hidden within the Crystal Cave, southeast of the village. Pirates, you murmur. You think about it for a moment, but with little other choice, you agree to help. You never change, sighs Hyde. But Fila pays him no mind as she prepares to embark on the adventure. A well-maintained fishing boat sits anchored in the water. You glance at the catch on board and deem it acceptable. All right, things have taken a very lively turn, haven't they? This must be a stela of the Isle's guardian spirit. You spy a parcel on the roadside. As you pick it up, you are enveloped in a wonderful aroma. Inspecting the parcel, you read its intended destination was Coveton. You know not its contents, but will you complete its delivery? You decide to deliver it on your way and tuck the parcel into your bag. Having arrived in Coveton, a woman asks you, "Are you the post?" She says she's been waiting forever at the village entrance for a delivery. Her eyes light up when you show her the parcel you picked up. That's what It seems the parcel contained an exotic perfume she ordered. While dancing a jig in celebration of her long-awaited perfume, she hands you a gratuity for carrying it all this way. You come across an open-air stall. A sign reads, "Huge sale." You weren't really looking to buy anything, so you ignore it and go on your way. two fight as one. The Crystal Cave teems with the stones that give it its name. They say the intermittent echo of water droplets is the sound of more crystals forming. Your party and Fila have become fast friends on the road to the cave. Though Laddie seems somewhat nervous to finally have a female friend her age, she looks happy nonetheless. The loose-lipped Fila tells you all sorts of details about her life, including the fact that she and Hyde are lovers. Hyde seems on edge about her blasé divulgences. You give him a pat on the shoulder, quietly sympathizing with him. You can see what looks like a chest within the shadows on the opposite bank. Unfortunately, you can't cross over with the water raging as it is. Fight him off. you come across a large boulder. You aren't sure where it fell from, but some of it is submerged in the water. The five of you rally together, then push, and... the boulder sinks into the water, stopping its flow completely. It looks like you have a new path to tread now. Fila hugs Hyde in her excitement. He blushes in embarrassment and reminds her that others are watching. At their public display of affection, Laddie covers her face with her hands, but peeks at them through her fingers. Don't hold back. Fortune favors the bold. You discover a chest in the cavern depths. Your allies rummage through its contents, but don't find anything resembling pirate treasure. Just as you're about to open the chest, Fila interjects. I didn't tell you, but they say the treasure is protected by the pirate's ghost, she admits with a tremble in her voice. Laddie's face goes pale, and she squeezes Lack in her arms. The poor thing looks like it's in pain. I'm just kidding, Fila says cheerfully. But then, who goes there? A voice echoes through the cavern. My treasure. You sense a dangerous aura in the shadow of the chest, and immediately prepare for battle. Excellent. After the battle, you finally reach what looks to be pirate treasure. Hundreds of colorful seashells filling it to the brim. The room falls quiet as everyone stares at the chest with abject dejection, realizing the stories were no more than rumor. After a long moment of sulking, you feel Laddie tug on your sleeve. She points to the rocky wall behind the chest. Upon closer inspection, you realize that there's a crevice just wide enough for a person to squeeze through. A droplet of water falls. Once the ripples upon the surface still, it feels as though time stops. A beautiful underground lake, its waters glimmering like crystal. Your collective breaths are taken away as you gaze upon the dazzling sight. The lake's light reflects in Fila's eyes, and she gently takes Hyde's hand in hers. "I'm so happy we can see this together," she whispers. Though you had come to the cave in search of treasure, you found something far more precious. You return to Coveton, basking in the afterglow of such a marvelous discovery. You arrive back at Coveton safe and sound. Ta-da, Fila says suddenly, pulling a crystal out of her pocket. Apparently, she took it from the cave so that Hyde could make them matching couples charms. With a sigh, her attendant agrees and says he will need to borrow the proper tools from the accessory shop. An air of gloom hangs over one corner of the village. Asking a nearby fellow what happened, he explains a woman was attacked and killed. Talk is, the woman was wearing perfume from a foreign land that drew the monsters to her. They only discovered it after the fact, but that perfume was actually some sort of juju expressly for attracting monsters. You recall the woman to whom you delivered the parcel you picked up. Even if I didn't know, I'm the one who gave her the perfume, you think regrettably. Laddie, you say a prayer for the woman's repose and quietly take your leave. Hyde asks you to wait outside while he enters the shop. Fila strikes up a conversation with Laddie while awaiting the other's return. The endless stream of words makes you wonder when the maiden has time to breathe. All Fila seems to talk about is Hyde. Nevertheless, she seems to have found an eager listener in Laddie, who nods with an elated smile. Hyde returns, completed couples charms in hand. The crystal charms look as impressive as any you would find in a shop. But Hyde's expression is grim. Apparently, Fila takes one of the charms with a forlorn smile. "I'll wear it to the maiden's ritual," she says quietly. Hearing the carefree woman speak of the goal of your journey, you can't help but ask for more information. Fila explains that she'll be conducting the maiden's ritual soon. You wonder if it's all right for them to be gallivanting around like this, considering how important the ritual is to protecting the island. As promised, I'll let you borrow the relic, Fila says, changing the subject. But it's far too important for me to just hand it over to you. So, we're coming with, she smiles. Though it's obvious she's just looking to have some fun, you have no choice but to accept the new term. With the Maiden's Relic finally secured, you and your unexpected new allies make for the Spire. Fila exclaims in excitement as she lays her eyes upon your vessel. How adorable! You grin, knowing full well that it is, and prepare for departure. You arrive back on Omega Isle. It's just as you left it, quiet and still. As if how gloomy, Fila remarks. But her softly spoken words are swept away by the sea breeze. You stand before the Maiden's altar again and ask Lack what you need to do here. Lack explains that Laddie couldn't become a maiden because of a problem in her heart. How would you even begin to solve a problem in someone's heart, you wonder, scratching your head in thought? Just as Lack begins to cast a mysterious spell. As if responding to the spell, the altar begins to glow. Now, go into the light, Lack commands. You do as you're told, having no choice but to obey the self-proclaimed spirit. When you come to, you realize that you must have fainted after being swallowed by the light. You gradually get your bearings, and your field of vision clears. You're in the Spirit Spire, or at least you're supposed to be. What happened, you ask Lack. Go outside and you'll see, it replies. Once outside, you find yourselves in the heart's domain, the birthplace of human emotions. But is it light or darkness? You stand in awe of the world before you. It's entirely black. as if someone took a brush and filled it from corner to corner with dark paint. This is Laddie's heart's domain, Lack says. Lack explains that it's a dream world. You can't believe that this is what's inside Laddie. Sweet, kind Laddie, who wears her heart on her sleeve. Laddie's gaze falls to the floor, perhaps in shock at seeing what's inside of her. Lack points south of the spire. Whatever is eating away at her heart is in that village, it says. Since Lack seems to know the lay of the land, you decide that following its advice is for the best. Oh, this place is seriously weird, huh? A shadow suddenly appears. It gazes at you with eerie yellow eyes and is cloaked in a hostile aura. You have no choice but to fight. And fight. Magnificent. Magnificent. The shadow vanishes. But you can't shake the feeling that those final words were spoken in a girl's voice. Anxietown is shaped entirely by Laddie's woes. As such, even the most beautiful blossoms in the village have their thorns. Magnificent.